Hello, I'm Andy and welcome to Vectra News, your full of gaming news for the week of the 12th of April 2014. Coming up in this week's episode, Rollercoaster Tycoon 4 mobile is released, Sony is making a zombie apocalypse MMO, Borderlands PreSequel is announced, and The Last of Us Remastered is leaked. Rollercoaster Tycoon 4 mobile has now been released in an attempt to further drive my childhood into the ground. From what I've seen, it's using a slightly better pay model than Dungeon Keeper mobile, however it will cost you £1.99 to buy the game in the first place. But don't worry, because you get to start the game with the equivalent of £3 worth of in-game currency. As with other free-to-play games, once you build stuff, you'll have to wait for the timer to count down to be able to tap it to collect coins. The coins will steadily replenish as your park grows and tickets will speed up the whole process. Coins and tickets are both purchasable, both of which have best value packs for the princely sum of £69.99, for which you'll either get 2 million coins or 1,000 tickets. You know, why pay for a game and enjoy it when you can pay for the game and then pay for some more money to play at a normal rate? I have to say this has really annoyed me, because if you're going to make customers pay for a game, then don't try and double dip by making them pay for microtransactions as well. If you really want a decent game for a mobile device, FTL the Advanced Edition has just come out on iPad and you won't be disappointed with that. I guess the only thing we can happily take away from this is that in an interview of Digital Spy, Atari Senior Director of Marketing Anthony Chen said that a PC version will definitely be a completely different game to this. Rollercoaster Tycoon 4 mobile is now out for iOS and Android for $1.99 and your soul. This week, Sony Online Entertainment announced H1Z1, a new free-to-play zombie MMO which runs on the PlanetSide 2 engine. According to the subreddit, the game will be a first or third-person shooter with its core being PvP. It will feature base, town and fortress creation, with player counts being in the thousands, although the actual player count per server isn't stated at the moment. It'll also feature the ability to set things on fire and a very deep crafting system. The president of Sony Online Entertainment, John Smedley, announced that the game will be available for $19.99 during early access and free when it releases. He also made a point to say that the monetization model being used in the game is up in the air at the moment, and they'll base this on feedback through the subreddit. They're not interested in selling weapons or anything that will help people to survive, and wearables are looking like one of the main buyable items, although at this time it doesn't seem clear whether if you die while wearing these wearables, whether they just get taken by the person and you have to rebuy them, or they'll just go into some inventory. Although I guess with this type of survival game, they'll probably just be on your corpse and either you or the person that killed you will be able to claim them. I have to say that could get very frustrating if you just buy this massively cool outfit and then just get killed instantly and have to repurchase them. I'm not too sure what I think of this. The game sounds like Sony's attempt at their own walking simulator like DayZ or Rust, which I have to say I enjoy watching highlight reels a lot more than playing them, because, spoiler, much like real life, not a lot happens, but when it does, some crazy stuff just appears, and there are some actually funny highlight reels like I said. That said, it could be pretty cool to build a fortress with a bunch of friends and just defend it against anyone who tries coming to attack it, although I could just be romanticising a bit here. It'll be interesting to see how people will respond to this game compared to the similar ones out on the market right now. Borderlands PreSequel has been announced, which bridges the gap between Borderlands 1 and 2. It tells the story of Handsome Jack before he becomes CEO of Hyperon, and it's been developed by 2K Australia, an offshoot of Rational Games. Prior to its announcement, Gearbox denied it was working on Borderlands 3, and I guess combined with this and the game Telltale are working on, that's why they're not making anything themselves. According to an article on IGN, the game will have more content than Borderlands 1 but less than Borderlands 2, and will contain 4 new playable heroes: Claptrap, Athena, Wilhelm and Sheriff. Part of the game will be set in space, and you'll have access to new gear such as Oz kits, which will let you upgrade your oxygen supplies, and new weapons including laser and cryo based ones. I'm concerned that the addition of the oxygen levels will make the game less fun. However, the addition of a low gravity mechanic will add another layer to the game, and its combat allowing jet assisted jumps and power dives, which could balance this out. With that said, not only do you need oxygen, the enemies will need it too, so scoring a headshot will actually temporarily stun the enemies, blowing up their helmets. Unfortunately though, the enemies won't die it seems, and the helmets will just respawn. Interestingly, the game will only be out on Xbox 360, PS3 and PC. Apparently it won't be out for the next gen consoles, which has been justified by Gearbox software president Randy Pitchford, saying, "It's not free to build a game for next gen. When you're deciding where you're going to spend your resources, I think we're going to spend all of the attention we can on the game itself. And if you try to imagine the set of Borderlands players they've already upgraded, that's not 100%. I guess this is true, and I can understand this justification. A dev doesn't really want to dump a ton of cash into porting a game to a machine that the majority of the fan base don't have yet. Although this is part of the issue of the next gen game consoles at the moment. There's not the draw, definitely for PC gamers, because the games are coming out on both systems, and there isn't a great deal of releases for decent new games, or at least that I found. It seems that there's a fair amount of previous generation console games like Tomb Raider and The Last of Us coming out on next gen consoles too, which leads us nicely onto our next topic. The Last of Us is coming to the PS4 in a remastered edition. This remaster of the game will have a full 1080 60 frames per second target, high resolution character models, improved shadows and lighting, upgraded textures and more. It's also going to be bundled with the Left Behind expansion and both multiplayer add-ons. Now I have to say I can see why it's been released, as it was the second largest game release in 2013 and sold 1.3 million copies in its first week alone, with a figure of 6 million copies being listed as being sold worldwide up until March this year. I have to say Naughty Dog would be silly not to offer an upgrade from PS3 to PS4, especially bearing in mind the fact that the new consoles aren't backwards compatible. It makes me wish that some new games were actually coming out, and that'll actually give me a reason to turn on my PlayStation 4 longer than viewing an interactive trailer. Which I think leads me back to the issue with next gen consoles right now. People are clearly interested in new consoles, as both Sony and Microsoft have sold around 6 million units since both consoles release. If you compare that to the 3.68 million units that PlayStation 3 sold in its first year and the 5 million Microsoft sold of the Xbox 360, you can see more people are trying to jump on these consoles earlier. Yet we're still in a really strange area where certain developers won't actually bring games out for next gen. The Last of Us Remastered isn't out until summer this year, but some retailers have listed it as coming out on the 14th of June. But anyway, that's all from Vectra News this week. Don't forget to like, favourite, subscribe and follow us on Twitter to keep up to date with everything on the network. And, as always, we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.